La singularité par l'anonymat, écrit la salle de la laiterie à Strasbourg, la subversion par la lourde douceur et la controverse par le mutisme, le renouvellement par démission autoritaire des figures du leadership, le stylisme comme outil de dissimulation propagandiste. Ghost place ses faits et gestes au-delà des postures. Né en 2008 des entrailles impalpables et suédoises de Linköping, le sectet a créé ferveur et mythe en brouillant les cartes ésotériques et en transcendant les genres, fondant d'audacieuse clarté pop et de perturbants accents liturgiques à leur inspiration doom. Chacun des concerts de Ghost vaut rite initiatique païen friendly. Avec nous un des musiciens de Ghost qui va donc parler au nom de Papa Emeritus. Et pourquoi avoir choisi ce nom pour commencer de Ghost BC, devenu Ghost tout court par la suite? Il y a un rapport avec la religion, le clergé?
Welcome in Rouen first. Our first question is why did the band choose the name of Ghost BC? Because of copyright and becoming Ghost. Does that choice deal with religion?
I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Does that choice of name deal with religion?
Yes. First of all, we just wanted a name that was short, and whereas the contemporary norm is to have basically a sentence for a name. So we wanted to just have one name, one normal name like Rush or Kiss. So Ghost sounded like like a cool name to have on a band that was maybe gonna record a 7-inch single and maybe release a record someday. And obviously, when we became a band that was more than just a project, it became a little bit of a problem because we were in the process of signing from one label to another, and that another label was a major label in America, and major labels in America are very, 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 very afraid of everything. So they said, well, you have to produce a paper that gives you the legal exclusive right for your name. We said that there is no chance in heaven or hell that we can get that, because our name is so widespread that no one can basically register it because it's too common. And they were like, oh, we're not having anything of that, you need to add something. And I blush when I think of their examples of what they wanted us to add. And we said that, well, BS is a good one, Ghost bullshit.
Bullshit.
But BC is probably the less offensive, I guess. The one thing that we can sort of live with for a little while until we sort of fix this. So BC because of copyright. Or before Christ, if you want to. So there was a little bit of a joke there, Ghost before Christ. But our relationship with that label didn't work very well anyway. So when we got the chance to move from that label to yet another label, we said that the first thing we want you to be aware of is that our name is Ghost. We're not Ghost BC. And they were like, okay. And there it was. It was settled, and nothing really happened. It was just the fact that that middle label was just afraid of anything that they couldn't predict, and that was why.
Alors donc en fait à l'origine le but c'était de choisir un nom très court de manière à ce que ça marque, puisque à la base ça ne devait pas être qu'un simple projet mais quelque chose justement de pérenne, enregistrer des albums, aller plus loin, et le label, ils ont été signés donc par un label américain qui voulait un nom exclusif. Le problème c'est que Ghost, c'est un nom qui est déjà déposé, façon de parler, qui est très simple, très accessible, donc le label leur a demandé de rajouter quelque chose pour en faire une marque particulière. La première idée c'était de mettre BS, bullshit, connerie quoi, Et finalement, on a proposé BC, puisque ça faisait référence à Before Christ, donc c'était plus simple, et puis en même temps, il y avait une relation religieuse. Et comme le contrat, en gros, a changé entre-temps, avec le label américain, la première chose qu'ils ont demandé avant tout, c'est de virer le BC et de devenir Ghost tout court.
Donc une longue histoire autour de ce nom. À quoi est lié, d'où vient ce choix d'esthétique visuelle forcément qui frappe, hein, les masques, le maquillage, ce côté sataniste. On s'attend davantage à trouver ça dans le black metal que dans des sonorités pop rock comme les vôtres.
Why did you choose this visual aesthetics, masks, makeups, and satanic look? Were you to find that more in black metal than in the music that sounds more pop, should I say?
Well, partly because we, myself and some of the other guys in the band and some of the persons that was in the process to begin with, we come from that sort of underground scene where, yeah, the extreme metal scene, and within the extreme metal scene, it's very natural. You know, you don't think twice about, you know, having Satan as a reference in your lyrics and in your art, at that point, as I was saying, you know, our level of ambition was not low, but it was nowhere near as defined as it is nowadays. So we didn't think at all about anything that had to do with whatever people outside the metal community or would think of it, because we thought we were going to make maybe one album and then we're going to play a show a year at Roadburn or at some festival like that, and it was just supposed to be something way less, something that was quite far from the medial attention. And it's obviously we're not that anymore. We sort of grew beyond that and became something different. But in our world, it's, you know, that sort of aesthetic and those forms of that form of symbolism and this realm is so at home. It feels so natural that we don't, you know, we don't regard it as unorthodox. I guess some people might think of it as when they hear, if they hear He Is on the radio and all of a sudden they see a picture of us, it's like, ah, mon Dieu. You know, so that was never the point. But now that happens.
Alors donc en fait, à la base, ils viennent aussi d'un milieu underground, d'une scène underground, et que comme l'ambition première, c'était avant tout déjà de faire un album, c'était pas une recherche première en fait, et finalement c'est devenu quelque chose d'assez naturel pour eux de garder cette symbolique, pardon, qui aujourd'hui maintenant, n'a pas d'importance quand on écoute la musique, on ne se rend pas compte qu'il y a des masques ou pas, mais évidemment il y a le côté affect scénique.
Vous avez l'impression qu'il faut continuer à se bagarrer contre la religion catholique aujourd'hui, encore au nom d'une certaine forme de liberté, et puis quel rôle vous pensez jouer au travers de cette bagarre-là?
Do you think that we still have to struggle against Catholicism today, so as to say that we still have a certain kind of freedom?
I think that the world is definitely plagued by religion, obviously. There are still streams of religion originating in the Catholic world that definitely has an extreme negative impact on people. But usually, as it's not really you know, that inflicted in the sort of the actual law. Obviously, most law books are constructed or sort of sworn next to a Bible, but it's not like we most people in the Western world doesn't have to abide to religious rules. And the ones there are usually quite just common sense. You know, one of the best things, speaking of patent, is that, you know, the corporation that is the church, one of their biggest patents that they ever claimed or bought or whatever was the fact, you know, the whole common sense, you know, be kind to others and normal shit that everybody understands anyways.
Of course.
And it's just the God thing that's probably the hardest part. I still think that there are shadows, traces of or remnants of the whole guilt trip that still stigmatizes us in our everyday lives, especially when it comes to sexuality, obviously, and but I see it clear, especially being in a band like this, touring all over the world, where a country, whereas in America, that claims as a country to be more Christian than it really is. Sometimes you can see that quite clearly, whilst here in Europe, where a lot of countries are openly Catholic, people are very, very open-minded still. So it's a band like us creates a little bit of controversy in that case, I think, because it pushes the boundaries when it comes to radio station owners, venue promoters, and so forth, festival organizers, because that has happened throughout the years, where there's been like a bigger like a festival over like in the sort of eastern bloc of Europe, that basically said that we really want to have you, and we think that you would probably be valuable for the festival, but unfortunately the owner of the festival or the festival grounds or something like that was deeply religious. So if we book you, you will be cancelled because of, if he finds out, you will, you know, he will dismiss you. Not because we didn't land the show. I don't care. I mean, that's fine. Fine. If you're religious and you don't want us, don't have us. We're not forcing anyone anything. We want people to be happy. We want people to smile, as opposed to the church who wants everybody to fucking cry. We want people to, you know, have fun. So we don't want to force anything. So I wasn't sad that we didn't get the show, but it's sad that basically some stupid ass rules that someone chooses to live their lives, basically. I mean, in my world, it's like basing your idea of the world on Lord of the Rings.
Alors donc le monde au final est dirigé par des religions, on le voit encore à l'heure actuelle, voilà le principe, et que quel que soit le courant, et ça a forcément un impact négatif sur les gens. Au-delà de ça, il n'y a pas forcément besoin de religion pour faire les choix les plus évidents, comme le fait de ne pas aller tuer son prochain ou ce genre de conneries. On peut revenir beaucoup sur l'ombre du passé, le rapport au sexe, tout ça. Et pour reprendre l'exemple de Ghost, même si de temps en temps il y a des cas qui sont dans le domaine de la controverse aux États-Unis, c'est pas forcément le cas en Europe, sauf par exemple situation qui pourrait avoir lieu et qui est assez stupide, principalement dans les pays de l'Est de l'Europe, de ce que le guitariste nous signalait, c'est par exemple des organisateurs qui refuseraient d'inviter Ghost sous prétexte que justement ça pourrait porter à controverse. Donc au final l'idée c'est on ne force pas, mais c'est complètement stupide de nous interdire sous prétexte que voilà, parce que l'organisateur a une foi particulière, forcément ça risque d'atteindre tous les chrétiens autour, ce genre de choses.
Et puis je crois que j'ai cru comprendre aussi que ce qui était essentiel aussi, c'était le concert, se faire plaisir, et voilà, c'est ça évidemment l'essentiel autour de la musique. Merci beaucoup de nous avoir accompagnés, d'être venu répondre à ces quelques questions.